Hi everyone, this is Maura Sweeney with episode 7 of the ABCs of Now. This is a special 26-part series where we are going through a letter and an accompanying word for every letter of the English alphabet. But rather than starting at A and ending at C, we're starting at Z and going in reverse all the way back to A. If you happen to have come upon this podcast in some random fashion, I urge and encourage you to find my podcast series on any one of a number of the podcast platforms. It's listed as Maura Sweeney, Living Happy Inside Out. And here, as I'm calling this special series, the ABCs of Now, this is episode 7. We have so far done episode 1 on the letter Z and the word Zoom. Episode 2, letter Y and the word yes. Episode 3, the letter X with the word extraordinary. Episode 4, W with wonder as in wonderful. Episode 5, V for virtues. Episode 6, U for uncover. And today we are embarking upon episode 7, T. Before I say that, let me explain just a little bit more again. The reason for this very timely, as in quote unquote now series of ABCs is to help you navigate through these epic changes, seismic shifts that are taking place in our world, in our society, in our cosmos, not just here in the United States, but worldwide. Sometimes when epic changes take place, there are feelings of uncertainty. There's an outer world that gets shaken in many ways, and as a result, our inner world also can get shaken. But because everything I do is designed for you and to help you live your best life from the inside out, I will help you navigate through some of these changes, but always with the focus of going inward and finding your inner home, your inner peace, the very resting place you can go to when you feel that the earth beneath your feet is not what it was, or your outer world is not what you always presumed it to be and always thought it would be. So I want you to save this episode. I want you to share it with others, and I want you to be prepared to listen to this episode and the accompanying ones again and again. Today you might be listening thinking, how did I even come upon this? I don't even know what this woman's talking about. I will tell you, if it hasn't happened already, in the very near future, you will recognize the need for this series because you'll be looking for a way to find your inner peace, hence your inner home. So, are you ready for episode 7? Our letter being the letter T, and the word I have chosen for this is timber. Timber. Now, I don't want you to think about timber that has been pieces of wood nicely cut and designed for furniture, for tables, etc., or for even building homes. I want you to think of this word in a different sense. Have you ever heard the word said this way? Timber! Normally, this is the image that we conjure up when we hear that word. It's a cry given out when a tree is about to fall. And the word timber is spoken or heralded because they want people to get out of the way of the falling tree. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, timber is a word that you're going to feel at some level in the not too distant future. And it may not be a giant tree, but I want you to think about being in the middle of a forest, feeling small in the midst of massive trees that have been around for a long time, that are possibly quite wide, but especially very, very tall, to the point where they would dwarf you. And you've gotten used to the trees, but all of a sudden, the trees and the stability or the outward stability you thought they represented are all of a sudden getting ready to fall with a timber, like a crash, sometimes in a moment. And that could be very disconcerting. In fact, if you want to imagine being in a big forest and all of a sudden a giant, let's say a redwood tree falls, imagine not just the sense of it falling from its very height, but also as it hits the ground, it actually makes the earth beneath your feet, if you're anywhere not too far away, absorb the thud. That's the kind of timber feeling I want you to relate to for what is to come. And that timber may actually be represented through institutions that stood like long-standing trees in a forest. The timber, things falling, may stand for individuals that many of us had looked at for a long time and thought, oh, these are big people. These are important people. These are people we've always seen as always being good and always standing up straight and being always upright. And suddenly there's a fall. But the timber could also be something like ideas that we had believed in, ideas that we had ascribed to, that not only did we see them outside of ourselves, but within ourselves, we had really aligned ourselves with those trees of ideas. And all of a sudden they go, timber, falling as if in a moment before we have an opportunity to even think about it or register what has taken place. Now, I want you to think something like that could actually make you tremble on the inside. And I could almost imagine some people saying, oh, what am I going to do? And they want to run outside and scream because the changes are so amazing. But here's what I want you to think of instead, because this whole series is not at all designed for fear's sake. It's designed to bring you back home, back to your soul, back to the person you are from within. And when these things happen, I want you to, instead of running out into the street and yelling or getting on your social media and going, ah, you can instead find inner peace, inner rest, an inner, listen to this, quiet place. There is a quiet place within you, very quiet, very restful, very peaceful. And I had a thought this morning before, as I was ruminating about how to put this together. And I was thinking about times in life, and I'm sure you could relate to this, where things have happened to you and you think, whoa, I didn't ask for this to happen. But because it happened, it ended up being a good thing for me. Because it moved me forward. It gave me more wisdom. It made me more aware of myself and helped me grow up and mature in certain ways. In this case, with today's word, timber, as in major trees and institutions and ideas and individuals potentially falling from your, I would say, the patterns of your mind and things that you had invested in them. I want you to consider it as an opportunity to, rather than feeling like you're going to be falling as well or that you're going to be shaking, to instead go within, go into your heart and find the restful place of peace. I want to assure you it's really there. It's always been there. And one of the reasons why we are doing this alphabet from Z back to A, and one of the reasons why I opened this podcast by reminding you that we're entering and in right now a time of epic changes, is because mankind as a whole has deviated from itself, from its source, from its better place. And we are in the process of undoing, unraveling, unwinding, and allowing things to fall that did not have a secure enough foundation from the beginning. So each one of these things that may be falling that you'll be watching, know that they're falling because it was time for them to fall, so that we can, in a sense, work our way back to our original foundations that are very sure and very secure and very peaceful. So think about that in advance and remind yourself right now that when you, at some level, hear the word timber of something falling, you could say, oh, it's my opportunity. It's my green light to go within and to remember I can find that quiet, restful, peaceful place within. Here's what I want to remind you of again. Make sure you save this, download it, listen to it again, and also be sure to share this particular episode and the series with your friends, because whether or not they realize it at this moment, they will need it at some point in the near future. And they'll be thinking, wow, I didn't know I needed this, but boy, oh boy, is this a timely series for me. Each and every episode will offer you a nugget, but together they will give you what your soul needs to find its way back home and find its way back to peace. There is a new world coming, and it's going to need a taller, stronger, wiser, better, and brighter you to help in the newness of what's to come. So until next time, this has been Maura with More for You.